Hi team, I just want to take a little bit of your time and go through a process that we've made some changes to for student evaluations. A couple of the changes that we made are the file format and the naming conventions. There's also a new tracking form that you can use to track hours for your clinical groups, as well as the process of entering your hours in for your students at the end of the clinical time. So we'll start with the student evaluation file format and naming conventions. When they're created and they're accessed on Blackboard, they are downloaded in MS Word format, and we try to keep that the same format throughout this semester. So the PATs or the VATs are used for mid and final, and it is a working document. So it's the one we use for mid is the same one we use for final, and it goes back and forth between the student and the CPS, and at the end involves the faculty leads as well, the CFLs, that we send them all to at the end. So we want to be sure that we inform the students that when they're completing their VATs and PATs at mid, that they are sending them to us in the MS Word format, so we can use those workable formatting that's in the document when we enter our part. Also, we want to inform the students that they should save their file for the VAT or PAT under a file format, a naming convention. So signatures are also required on the student evaluations. There's two ways that are acceptable to provide your signature. So one is electronic, and you can copy and paste your JPEG signature into the file, or you can type it in if you leave it in that MS Word format. Just type in your name. Naming conventions, then, for student evaluations, basically just means the way you save that file and that you title that file. And so we want to have them done all the same format. So it's program, semester, student last name, student first name, and then the file type. So an example to that would be, say for PN, it would be PN, semester 3, Smith, Jane, Pat. For BSCN, it would be BSCN. If they're in semester 2, it'll be 2, Smith, Jane, VAT. So that's for the virtual assessment file. So we want to make sure that we have it exactly as it is on here, and this will get sent out and posted up on the CPS organization also if you need a quick reminder. Slight difference when you're moving from mid-evaluations to the final evaluation is that after the file type, you're just going to type in final. So again, it'll be PN, semester 3, Smith, Jane, Pat, final. Or BSCN, semester 2, Smith, Jane, VAT, final. And that just keeps it very clear when we have to search up later on, if we're looking for any of these documents, that it's an actual final version of that. So when we've completed our portion of the final PATs and VATs, we're going to have them saved in the MS Word, and we're going to email them to the clinical faculty leads, or the CFLs, at the end of the semester. So they're asking that that happens 48 hours or within the 48 hours following your last clinical shift or your last virtual day. So if you're on a Tuesday, then by end of Thursday, that needs to be sent off to your faculty leads. Okay, so another little piece to this is that if any student has any other supporting documentation that needs to be filed as well, such as CSPs or MOCs, you don't add that into the VATs or the PATs. You can add it on as the same email, but it needs to be a separate file. So that means each thing has its own file. And if you were doing an MOC, say it would be PN semester 3, Smith, Jane, MOC. And then you could send that together, all together in the one email to your faculty lead for evaluation. So the other piece, and I'll run through it in a few minutes, is the hour tracking form. And by no means do you have to use this form. However, it's a handy tool to be able to just send to the faculty leads to verify hours. So a new process moving forward is that we're going to have CFLs match up hours that they have documented with the same as what the CPS has, and then send that verification to the CPS prior to entering the hours. That way, there's no issue in discrepancy in the amount of hours that students are having documented. Okay, so after we have sent that off to the CFL, we get an okay back that the hours match up. You can go in and enter the hours as we've done before. Susanna Wilmot will send a link to the place in which you're going to enter the hours. And then once we're done that, we'll send Susanna an email and we'll say that that process is complete. So this is a blank form that it'd be accessible on Blackboard, and we can email it to all the CPSs as well, that you can use to keep track of your student placement hours. The intention was to use this for PAT, so people in agency clinical, but I use it for my virtual groups, and it's just as easy to do. So what I do here is you would enter your name, agency name, the program, semester, course codes. These are all drop-down boxes with different options. So type of placement, you could put if you're in acute medical. It also drops down and give you day of the week. So say you're a Tuesday. Nice, easy little snapshot area for you. So here is hours offered by CPS per week. So every week you would put in how many hours you offered clinical for the students. So generally it would be 12 hours, but say in week 3 you needed to cancel the shift for whatever reason, you could visually color code it to blue. That way it's a really easy visual cue. And then at the end here, it totals up the hours offered. So when you're inputting hours at the end of our clinical rotation, this is an easy way to see, well, this is how many hours were offered. So they put up a little color guide for any irregularities. So if a student was absent or they attended sim lab or there was an issue, you could also use that color coding. So here, say you would put your list of students. So you'd put their last name, their first name, the student number, and then every week, how many hours were allotted for clinical time that they did. So here in week 4, I can see this mustard color. I look up and that means that was sim lab attendance. So it's a really easy, quick view. And then here in week 5, there was an issue. So whether they were late or something happened, they only had 8 hours. So then you can see here that there's the total hours that are attended, right? Gets tallied. So if I went in and the next week they had 12 hours, I see my total change, right? So it's a nice way of keeping track. And then at the bottom, of course, there are course codes here that you can read, easy access, so you don't have to go and look and say, oh yeah, is this 2525 or is it 2527? So nice, handy little tool for everybody to be able to use. Okay, so the next place I wanted to look was Student Clinical Placement and Virtual Simulation Hour Tracker. So this is what the site will look like that Susanna will send out to CPSs for you to be able to record the amount of hours that each student has in clinical. So it's actually a really easy form to use. Enter the student number. So you just enter their student number. Please verify that this is accurate, because it does take a lot if we make a mistake with inputting to be able to have Susanna go in and fix the mistakes. Put in your student name. Pick the program that you're in, the campus that you're associated with, the term that you're in. So we can select whatever semester we're in as well, and then the course associated with that. So those course codes are there again for your reference. And then you're here going to choose the type of hours. So if we're doing clinical hours, where we're an agency, you're going to click clinical hours only. And you're going to say here the total number of hours that students were given by the CPS. So this was the total amount of hours that you offered them. And then this is the total amount of hours that each student, so this student above, one student, how many hours did they attend? Okay, so I'm just going to say if they missed a day, this is the hours they attended. Okay, and then placement agency, you're going to say where you were, and then what type of placement is it? It's an acute medical, and what day of the week were you there? Tuesday. And then here your last question is to verify, have I looked at this information and is it correct? So I'll just pop back up here and we can look at what it's like for virtual. So if you changed and you were doing virtual hours, the number of virtual hours completed, and then the type. So we're going to put VSIM. And this type can change depending on the different agreements that we make as we move forward in offering VSIM. And then here again, your last question is, can you confirm that all the information you entered is correct? So you could just go back and have a double check. And then you submit. You get this good little thank you for reporting your hours. So that confirms that it's been submitted. You're then going to send an email to Susanna just to say that you've inputted the hours for your student group. And then that allows Susanna to send an email off and they release your last pay because your full circle duties are completed now. And that's it. It's a quick, easy 5 steps for a successful clinical wrap-up. So you're going to, again, in review, complete the final PAT-VAT and save it in the original MS Word format. Then you're going to send all the completed VATs or PATs along with any separate supporting documentation to your faculty lead. Then you're going to wait and you're going to receive a confirmation from your faculty lead that says all the files are complete and the hours match what their records are as well. Then you're going to click on the link that's provided by Susanna. It'll be in your email to input those student hours. Once you submit those hours and you get that thank you confirmation, send an email to Susanna just stating that that's all complete, and voila, your clinical is all wrapped up.